We pick up the story from last night, after the Lord's Supper, their Seder supper. They sing a hymn and went out to the Mount of Olives. The verses I'm about to read are harmonized from Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Then, accompanied by the disciples, Jesus left the upstairs room and went as usual to the Mount of Olives. They went to the olive grove called Gethsemane, and he said, "Sit here while I go over there to pray." He took Peter, James, and John with him, and he became deeply troubled and distressed. He told them, "My soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." He went on a little farther, about a stone's throw, and prayed that, if it were possible, the awful hour awaiting him might pass him by. He fell to the ground, crying, "Abba, Father, everything is possible for you. Please take this cup of suffering away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine." Then he returned to the disciples and found them asleep. He said to Peter, "Couldn't you watch with me even 1 hour? Keep watch and pray so that you will not give in to temptation, for the spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Then Jesus left them a second time and prayed, "My Father, if this cup cannot be taken away unless I drink it, your will be done." When he returned to them again, he found them sleeping, for they couldn't keep their eyes open, and they didn't know what to say. "Why are you sleeping?" he asked them. "Get up and pray that you will not give in to temptation." So he went to pray a third time, saying the same things again. An angel from heaven appeared and strengthened him. He prayed more fervently, and he was in such agony of spirit that his sweat fell to the ground like great drops of blood. At last, he stood up again and returned to the disciples a third time. He said, "Go ahead and sleep. Have your rest. But look, the time has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Up, let's be going. Look, my betrayer is here." And immediately, even as Jesus said this, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived with a crowd of men armed with swords and clubs. They had been sent by the leading priests, the teachers of religious law, and the elders. Judas walked over to Jesus to greet him with a kiss. But Jesus said, "Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?" So Judas came straight to Jesus. "Greetings, Rabbi," he exclaimed, and gave him the kiss. Jesus said, "My friend, go ahead and do what you have come for." Jesus knew what was coming. He had explained it to the disciples, his friends. These friends followed him, loved him. One said he'd die with him. He'd spent pretty much every day with these guys for the last 3 years. It was usual for Jesus to go to the garden to pray. What maybe wasn't usual was Jesus' extreme grief this night. He desperately needed to talk to his Father, but he also told his friends how distressed he was. He said to them, "My soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." If your best friend told you they were crushed with grief, what would you do? How would you feel? Would you suffer and cry right beside them? Would you want to do all you could, but don't know how? Would you pray fervently for them? Or would you fall asleep? God knows our pain and grief. When his closest friends were not there for Jesus in his agony, God sent an angel to strengthen him. God provides comfort even in the most extreme circumstances, even when you feel utterly alone, unseen, and forgotten. Do you know that? After a lengthy time of prayer, while his friends slept, Jesus woke them up. He hadn't asked them to pray for himself. Instead, he asked them to pray that they themselves would not be tempted on this night. But Jesus knew. And he knew and loved his betrayer, one of his 12 closest friends, Judas. How do we act when we are betrayed? Are we bitter, telling everyone what wrong the person did to us? Do we vindicate ourselves and belittle the betrayer? Do we secretly wish them harm? Jesus accepted his Father's will and faced the next hours. He did what he came to do. Jesus didn't run away or try to hide. He didn't go punch Judas in the face. No, Jesus greeted Judas and accepted his kiss of betrayal. He even said, "My friend, go ahead and do what you have come for."